So 1989, that was supposed to be the turning point, the break in history. 25 years later, how, retrospectively, how do you see that?
Of course, my joy was total. I thought that was the best day in history, the fall of the wall, early November 89. Not that I expected the achievement of paradise on earth, because I don't think this will ever happen. But it seemed to me clear that the fall of this empire, without calling it evil, was a positive thing in our history. What was less visible at that time was that the Soviet empire was in a way obstacle to the hubris of Western power. The world couldn't be dominated by one single power. And from that point on, we had the impression that this became possible. And I think this is one of the worst dreams, in a way, of humanity, when we believe that by efforts of our will, we are able to achieve any aim whatever.
Do you think it was a fantasy that the West was going to democratize and
Democratize
liberalize
the world, and that it would be end of history, everybody agrees, and we no longer have any quarrels. And the first event was the first invasion of Iraq, for which there was certainly a large consensus after the occupation of Kuwait by Saddam Hussein. But very clearly, little by little, we realized that these opportunities that were given to the Western world to impose its values were having their negative side, which is the negative side of any conviction that you can achieve everything and dominate the whole world and bring your projects to realization wherever they are, without realizing that one major characteristics of democracy is that all power is limited, and unlimited power becomes unlimited evil.
So in your book, you talk about the enemy to democracy from within, not from without. Now that the Soviet Union was no more, that the new threats to democracy came from within. Let's focus on the economic. You have a problem with neoliberalism, and you think that's an enemy from within that is undermining democracy.
Liberalism is definitely one of the ingredients of the democratic state. It assures the liberty of individuals, of groups of individuals, freedom of expression, of behaving freely. That was lacking mostly to us, people like me and others, when we were living in Eastern Europe under totalitarian regimes. Totalitarian regime was supposed, although we didn't ever realize this, but it was supposed to favor the other ingredient of democracy, which was the search for a common good. But it was explicitly repressing the idea of individual freedom. The old-style liberals of the time of Adam Smith and Benjamin Constant and so on and so forth, 18th and 19th century, early 19th century, were very much aware of this balance. They were very much aware of the fact that a hubris may become the dominant passion of politics if it doesn't meet a obstacle. It has to be balanced by something, by a different principle. And neoliberalism, which was developed against totalitarian regimes by people like Hayek and other Austrian economists in the first half of the 20th century, were fighting an evil enemy, the Nazi regime or the Soviet regime. So they believed that this illimited freedom will be the right cure. However, when this happened, and this happened only in the late 80s and early 90s of the 20th century, it was a different form of liberalism. That's why we call it neoliberalism or even ultraliberalism. Ultraliberalism being the most extreme form of it, when not only the state is deprived of its former prerogatives, but it's supposed to be used as a weapon for further imposing the power of individuals. In this sense, I talk about the tyranny of individuals, because we deal with corporations or institutions, but these corporations are not an emanation of the political choice of the population. In fact, the major movement here is the backdropping, the failure of the political as opposed to the economic. The economy...
Because the political has become subservient to the economic?
The political, that's exactly the definition of ultraliberalism. When the political will, such as expressed by elections or choices of the whole population, is subordinate to the economic power, which, and this is right, is not the power of the state. The economic power is power of individuals, of corporations, of groups of individuals.